coming at you September 5th, 2024. We bring you Week 1.
And welcome back to a Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono. Sorry about your ears.
And I'm your host, Chris, and I'm not sorry about your ears. We got you Week 1 matchups, baby. This is exciting. We had our draft, 2 days ago.
Yep.
Really, really excited about my team. I know Jono loves his team. I think his team's atrocious. He thinks my team's atrocious.
Just waiting
it's okay.
for you to say
it's
that.
going to happen, but that's the fantasy football life when playing with your best friend. So, you're going to crap on each other and talk a lot of smack.
And go figure. We face each other Week 1.
Yeah, go for it. And we're gonna bring it live to you. Our matchups, our debates. I'm gonna kind of swing some things his way, get him off my scent on a couple things. But really, Week 1 is about starting the guys that you drafted to be your starters. Matchups. You're not really you're not really sure on what defenses are going to really look like at that point. You don't know really what the offenses are going to look like. They might come out rusty. I mean, think back last season where we really didn't think the Lions were going to make that big of a jump, and Kansas City was going to be this dominant team. And
Correct.
Right off the jump, the first game is just like a dud. This year, we have the Kansas City Chiefs playing again, but they're playing against the Baltimore Ravens. This should be a really exciting game for the very first game of the year.
Yeah. Before we jump into these, I know a lot of you do have don't have fantasy drafts done yet. Some of you may be drafting tonight. Some of you may be drafting Thursday before the games and set it up. That's a little risky in my opinion. So if you haven't had a chance to go look at our mock drafts, take a look at them, see where we draft from positions, if it matches up with your league. We did a PPR, we did 14 teams, we did 10 teams. We did anything that would give you a good idea of what we've done.
A little bit of everything, a little diversity.
Smorgasbord.
It never killed nobody, okay? But I just want to recognize everyone and say, if you haven't liked and subscribed already, go ahead and do so now. We're going to bring you content every week. We got matchups that matter. We got the highlights, the start sits that are going to go starting Week 2. Week 1, it's really hard. I'm going to start all my guys.
To me, there's no start sit Week 1. It's more who you like and who we don't like as much.
Yeah.
So if we have a guy that we mention here that we like and you're deciding between him and somebody else, and we mentioned that other guy you don't like, it's up to you if you want to start or sit him. We're not going to advise to start or sit anybody because we have nothing to see. We have defenses that year after year, like Chris said, could be great defenses on paper, but finish terribly. Look, the Eagles' defense was 22nd in fantasy scoring last year. They just gave up a lot of points in games.
Yeah,
they won games. They created turnovers here and there, but offenses going against them, you didn't have to worry about playing them.
No, I mean, you could start as a suggestion. I say if you want to stream someone, stream them if they're a quarterback. Stream them if they're playing against the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, subscribe, leave a comment, drop it down below if you have any start-sit questions. If you want to know anything, we'll get back to you as soon as we get that message and give you a response on that. So let's get into it. We got Ravens Chiefs. The spread right now is they're giving the Chiefs the Chiefs are underdogs in this, right?
No, Chiefs are not underdogs. They're -3 here.
-3.
Yeah, they're not +3. I know the
Maybe
screen's
we need
a little
to blow
tight.
that screen up a little bit.
Yeah, Chiefs have
Either that or I'm getting old and my eyes are
favored
going.
by 3 points here, which is about right for the start of the season. What surprised me more than anything was the 46.5 over/under. That came down, I believe, too, because I remember seeing it at 48.5. So
yeah, I mean, these are two really good defenses.
They are two good defenses, but you have two elite quarterbacks that can run good offenses. So 46.5 points. You're talking about some teams maybe at 18, one team maybe at 24. It's going to be low scoring according to this. But you're starting your studs. You're starting Mahomes. You're starting Kelsey. You're starting Rashee Rice.
Well, let me ask you: in this game, you starting Xavier Worthy
without Hollywood Brown? It depends on where you drafted. If you drafted him to be your flex position, I'm starting him.
So you're pretty much starting any Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm starting anybody on Kansas City, 100%. Okay. I will start the 3 big on Baltimore.
I would start Andrews, I would start Lamar, and I would start Henry, and I would sit everyone else.
That's what I'm saying. The big 3. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting Flowers, but again, if you drafted him to be your flex, and you don't have really good depth behind him there, listen to the other games we say here, then Flowers may be an option. But to me, I'm playing the big 3 from Baltimore. And that's
I just want to see what wide receiver really steps up there. I mean, again, we've been talking a couple of years now about Bateman becoming a thing, and I don't think Bateman's going to become a thing, but
Correct.
who knows?
But I'm not. That's not the point I'm
now
making.
you have King Henry in the backfield, so you don't know what's going to be opened up on the back end of that.
That's not the point I'm making. The big point I'm making is the draft capital you spent on Flowers because of where his ADP was this offseason, you probably started him to be your wide receiver too.
I mean,
like there's a chance.
Only if they drafted like Yo did.
Yeah, or they drafted quarterbacks early or tight ends early, like that.
Most people were going wide receiver 2s up in earlier rounds than where he was going. If he's going,
he was going fifth round. ADP.
Fifth, sixth round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's wide receiver 2 range at possibility. So if that's the case, and I'm saying that, don't sit him because we're saying don't start him. Because we're not saying don't start him. We're saying wait and see. We just don't know what this offensive scheme is going to look like.
I'm starting Rashee Rice. I'm probably not starting Xavier Worthy this week. I'm going to see where he's going to mix in, how he's going to mix in. With Kels there, I think that this team's identity is still going to be running the football with Isaiah Pacheco and playing some good defense.
Yep.
So I'm not sure is Xavier Worthy going to get 2 deep shots per game? What's the volume going to be like with him?
I see it more closer to Tyreek Hill early career right now, where he got his chances. They took the chance every game. They took chances with him, but it wasn't a lot.
So that's where I'm going to kind of hold back on him.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm probably drafting him for like a late season boom. But those are the guys I'm going to start there. Moving on to a Friday night game.
Which the amazing thing is, technically, if you're a football fan, you have 5 straight days of football.
I know, it's excellent.
Right? You have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
5 straight nights of football. So Packers, Eagles in Brazil.
So
that always makes things interesting, but it does have a 48.5 over-under, which is one of the higher ones of the weekend.
Yep, and Philly's being the favorite in this game.
Only by 3.
Only by 3, so it's a field goal game. This is going to be another really good matchup, and I'm starting Love. I'm starting Josh Jacobs, and I'm starting Luke Musgrave in this game. Everyone else, I'm kind of hold off on. Again, I want to see what the target share is going to be like. If I'm going to throw someone in there, I'm sitting Christian Watson. I like Dontavian Wicks as a deep sleeper this year, but am I willing to start him against a revamped Eagles team? No, not necessarily.
James Bradbury is injured, so that
McKinney's there. Like they have some guys in the back end.
They brought the rookie in, but excuse me. What I would say is, if you're going to take a chance, if there's a wide receiver that I would take a shot on in this game.
Is it Romeo Doubs?
No, it's Christian Watson because of the big play ability.
I think Jaden Reed is really going to be the safest bet that you have at wide receiver for them.
Again, do you want a safe bet? Do you want 6 catches for 70 yards, or do you want Christian Watson who gets 3 catches?
2 end-arounds, one that might go for a touchdown?
It could, but I'm just saying I agree with you in that I don't trust starting any receiver not really knowing how this offense is going to look with everybody healthy.
Yeah,
but if Christian Watson, we know what he does when he's healthy. He's big. His big play ability is what is getting there. So if you're doing a daily fantasy, if you're doing player props or anything like that, he's the one I definitely take a chance on. But I'm with you. I'm not starting any of these guys comfortably.
On the other side, on the Eagles side of the ball, I am going to start Jalen Hurts. I am going to start Saquon Barkley. I am going to start A.J. Brown. I am going to start Devonta Smith. Yeah. I am going to start Dallas Goedert. And I am probably setting everyone else.
I'm actually, you know what?
I'm kind of excited. I think Jahan Dotson might actually have a game this week.
A game or opportunities in the game?
I think he might have a game here.
I'm thinking this game takes the over, though. That's my opinion.
I think this game takes the over, too.
Week ones, the best part about week ones is there's no defensive schemes, and defenses can't really do any, really plan for an offensive scheme. Nobody has any offseason tape on anybody. So, this is, if you're going to take an over on games, it's week one that you have an opportunity to take overs on games. And, there's these Thursday, Friday night games are not short weeks for these teams either. It's the first game of the season. They've been planning for this game already for a couple weeks. So, in my opinion, take the shot with your studs, like Chris said. Don't overthink because, they've got a good defense. Cleveland had a great defense last year, and look what Gardner Minshew did in Indianapolis against them. Things can happen with tough defenses against teams and players they're not prepared for. That they were preparing for and vice versa. And this is a situation where you can only prepare so much for a team you haven't seen anything of. Maybe they're preparing for what Jordan Love did last year. But if the Eagles come out with a whole new offensive scheme, what are they preparing for? Yeah, what are you preparing for?
Well, you're going to play more base defenses. You're probably not going to but it's going to be a slower game, I think. And that, this is a game I actually think
I disagree. I think pace of play with Kellen Moore is going to change this game.
All right. So it's in Mexico.
It's in
high altitude.
Brazil.
It's in Brazil, high altitude.
Correct.
And I think both defenses are going to get gassed in this game. I think it lends a hand for the offenses. That's why I'm probably going to take the over in this game, and that's why I like the offense in this game. Again, I don't mind if you want to start Christian Watson. I just don't think that you probably have some better options there and some better matchups this week than Christian Watson. If you're going to start anyone from there, I'm saying Jayden Reed is probably going to be my guy, the wide receiver core that I'm going to start on that team. I'm starting Josh Jacobs. I'm starting Luke Musgrave in this game, and I'm starting Jordan Love in this game. I like the offenses on that side. From the Eagles side, I actually, like I said, Jahan Dotson I think is a sleeper for me this week. Outside of that, you're going to start everyone on the Eagles.
I mean, Dotson wasn't even drafted in half the leagues out
I know,
there, though, but what I will say though about
I don't care if he's drafted or not. I'm just saying I like him.
What I will say about the Packers offense is the ADP for these receivers was so low because nobody out there knew where to draft and who was going to be started. So you probably didn't draft any of them to be your wide receiver 1s or 2s at all. And if you did, I really want to see what the rest of your team makeup looks like. But wide receiver, like a flex play or wide receiver 3s, maybe where you got these guys, you may feel more comfortable starting somebody else.
I mean, fine, but the reason all of them went down so low and got drafted so low is because no one really knew how the shakeup is going to be, and we've seen blow up games from each one of these guys. Yep. All of them have value. They're not like deep down the list where no one's touching them. Like Dontavian Wicks is a big sleeper for a lot of people. Obviously, Jayden Reed and Christian Watson are going to be are being drafted. Really, the biggest one that took a hit was Romeo Doubs, and he's the one that's being undrafted, and it's only because people think that Dontavian Wicks is going to be the guy there this year. And so I'm still starting Jayden Reed on that. I'm still starting, Christian Watson is probably the guy that's in my flex that I'm probably going to let set. But if you want to make the argument for Rashee Rice having a big game, look at what Jayden Reed did the second half of the season. He was heavily involved in that offense in the same way that Rashee Rice was. Go ahead and start him.
Don't misunderstand what I was saying. I'm not saying to start these guys. I'm saying you pretty much reset what I said about the ADP. ADP was floored because there is no idea yet.
But I'm just clarifying it wasn't for a lack of talent on these
guys. No. I said
so,
because we don't know what this offense is going to look like.
In a game where you think it's going to go over, you want to start people in that game.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Steelers-Falcons. This game here has Atlanta as a 3.5 point favorites, a 42.5 low scoring game here. That's because we don't know what the Steelers are going to do. Well, we kind of know what they're going to do offensively. They're going to run the ball. We don't know what they're going to do through the air. And then the Falcons, this is a whole new ball game here. New quarterback. Really, the only wide receiver 2 is really the new big offensive weapon here with Darnell Mooney. But yeah, offensive coordinator's done. So, to me, in this game here, I'm excited to watch and see what comes of it here. If you drafted Kyle Pitts, you're starting him. If you drafted Drake London, you're starting him.
Bijan, you're starting him, right?
Yeah.
Same thing on the other side. If you Najee, you're starting him. I'm not starting Pickens in this game.
I'm not starting Warren on this game, coming off a hamstring.
Well, I'm not starting Warren, but I'm not starting Pickens. I think Pat Freiermuth is a sneaky play this week.
Yep, I like Freiermuth.
At tight end. We got to see what this passing offense is going to look like and what the distribution is going to be like. On the other side, the same thing. You're starting Pitts and you're starting London. Who's going to be the next guy there? Like Mooney can be a guy that pops up. You know, there's talent outside of Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and who is Kirk Cousins going to favor? Plus, I like both defenses in this game, so I do think this is a game that I'm going to take the under on.
Yeah, I would take the under, and I also am not comfortable starting Kirk Cousins against the Steelers defense in a new offense with new people, new players coming off Achilles tear. There's nothing going in his favor here, but I think he's a great quarterback.
Yeah.
For the Steelers, though, their benefit was they had all their players back at practice looking healthy this week. So there's a chance that Wilson gets into this game, too, as well, if he's looking good with that ankle sprain. That could change the way this offense looks, getting a guy who can actually get open, like a Deontay Johnson-esque player, which would help also Kenny or George Pickens. So Cardinals-Bills.
Nothing's helping Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, not Kenny Pickett, yeah. Cardinals-Bills here. Bills are 6.5 point favorites, which is interesting because their defense is completely depleted. But it's a 48.5 point over under here.
For you bettors out there, I'm taking the Cardinals covering the spread on this game.
Yeah, I would take that too.
And I'm going to take the over on this game too.
Yep, I would too. I think Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner,
Trey McBride. Go ahead and start all those guys.
Sleeper, Greg Dortch.
I would say Michael Wilson. You say Greg Dortch. We both agree that there's going to be another receiver that's probably going to be involved in this game and going to get a lot of open targets because of the coverage that's going to shift over to Trey McBride and to Marvin Harrison.
So somebody's going to be open.
Yeah, and I think Kyler is going to have a really good game on this one. The Bills are completely depleted on defense, revamped.
This is kind of like the Packers. You're starting the running back. You're starting the quarterback.
Are you starting any wide receiver for the Bills?
Again, where you're drafting them in ADP, none of them would have been drafted as your wide receiver 2s. So you should have an option that's more comfortable than starting Coleman.
Let's say in a deeper league.
But in a deeper league, I'd feel comfortable with Shakir, knowing that there's been a rapport already established between Josh Allen.
So no to Keon Coleman this week.
I mean, you're taking a chance on a rookie, and to me, there's only 2 rookies that are guaranteed output for the NFL right now. You say that sarcastically, but let's be honest. There's only 2 that are guaranteed to get the opportunities and output.
I don't think that.
So you think Coleman's going to be guaranteed?
I think Coleman is good. There's not enough target. I think Coleman's one of the guys. I think Brian Thomas is another guy. I think Jalen Polk is another guy. Like, there are other receivers other than Malik Neighbors and Roman Dunze who are going to get or Marvin Harrison. And
I don't
Malik
think
Neighbors.
Dunze is. And the only reason I don't think that Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get as much output is because you do have 2 other very good veteran wide receivers on that team.
And you have 200 targets that are vacated between Calvin Ridley and Gabe.
Not 200 in one game. I'm just saying right now.
No, I know, but he's going to get targets. He's an outside receiver. He's going to be on the field.
Correct. I don't disagree.
90% of snaps.
He wasn't the heavily targeted one in the preseason when he was on the field with Josh Allen. You have to admit he doesn't have the speed that some of these other guys to get off the snap real fast. I think he's very talented, and I think long-term in the season he's going to be in starting lineups for sure. I think he's great. We both love him.
Yeah.
I'm less going to want to start him this week 1. I'd rather start Khalil Shakir in a flex spot, knowing that there's a rapport and he has that ability.
You're starting Kincaid, obviously.
Yes.
And I know in a lot of deeper leagues, this was a guy I was on too, is Dawson Knox. Are you going to start Dawson Knox, or you have him as a sleeper in this game? Because I don't think that Kincaid has won over the job completely. I think Knox is still going to be involved.
The fact that, Josh Allen also is like, those are buddies.
Right.
So I think that the 2 guys are going to be on the field at the same time. They're going to both get opportunities because there's a comfort level with the 2. Knox is a huge touchdown guy. That's where Kurt Kincaid may get, hurt a little bit this season, is in the touchdown category, because Knox gets open in the end zone.
In our league, you saw a lot of people fade away from Kincaid.
Yeah,
he was the last big guys to go.
He dropped.
Pitts and Ingram went before he did.
Yeah, because those guys are more guaranteed.
Or no, they went the round before.
Yeah, but they're still, those guys have a little bit more stranglehold on the targets in their offense. So I mean, at the end of the day, James Cook is a guy here. I know I drafted him. I know we're
going to hear about him all year and how you're going to butter him up. I get it.
Yeah, well, just tell me, 200 vacated targets, 200 aren't going to Keon Coleman. I think James Cook is going to have a lot more to.
I mean, you have Curtis Samuel coming in too. Like there's other receivers that they brought in, and Kincaid's going to have an increased workload in the passing game. Yeah, I like James Cook in this game. I do like him for the season long too. But I think that touchdowns, Josh Allen, you're starting. He was drafted number 1. I think he has a chance to repeat with 15 rushing touchdowns this year. I still think double digit.
Yeah, I don't see another way he doesn't do double digit, because if you look and break down his touchdowns, and if you did listen to us when we were talking, a lot of his touchdowns were not like Jalen Hurts, where it was like inside the 1-yard pushes, where Saquon's going to start taking some of those away. It was more Josh Allen was doing it from like the 10-yard line. He was doing it from the 7-yard line. He was doing it from the 14-yard line. He was doing a lot within the 15.
Yep.
And so I think the fact that you see those stats, it comes out off the page saying this guy gets big runs. He doesn't just sneak in on 1-yarders.
Yeah.
He did a couple times. But Titans-Bears, I think this is going to be one of my favorite ones to watch here. And I'm a Giants fan, just so people understand that. If you've been watching the show, you know that. Chris is a Jets fan. But the Titans-Bears are 2 offenses that I'm excited to watch. I want to see Will Levis. I want to see Caleb Williams. I want to see this passing offense on both sides, because the running backs in both are very similar on these teams, where you got these good pass catching backs that are okay on the ground, but aren't these prolific rushers on the ground.
I think this is a big game for the Titans to show something, because I think one of the sneakier defenses that you could draft this year are the Chicago Bears.
Yep, I agree.
And they're very, very talented up front. They have really good secondary. You saw in the second half of the year, they really turned the corner, started playing good team defense. They added pieces to that defense, and those guys grew. The younger guys grew into a better position. If if the Titans come out and show something against this defense, then I have really, really high hopes for a lot of people in this offense. For this game, I'm not starting anyone from the Titans.
I'm starting Calvin Ridley.
I'm not starting anyone. I want to see what this offense is going to look like. I think that the receivers might have a chance of getting shut down in this game, and I think there's going to be a lot of pressure after Levis. So I'm kind of hesitant to start anyone. I want to see this offense a little bit before I start anyone here. And again, where you probably drafted a lot of these players is in flex or wide receiver 3 role. Same with Pollard or Tajay. If Pollard is your RB2, go ahead and start him. Like, he's going to be a good option there. I think he's going to get work. He's going to get some volume.
He's going to catch passes. I think he's going to be good too.
Yeah, so I still think you start him. But if you have better options and better matchups, I would think I would start those guys over an unknown. On like, this is the first game in 10 years that we're seeing the Titans offense just completely revamped. Yeah. They're going to be a passing offense, not run first. You're going to see less stacked boxes, and they're handing the reins over to Will Levis. So we got to see what they're all about first before I'm willing to take a stance on them one way or the other.
Like I said, I trust Calvin Ridley a little bit more as a veteran. I would trust D-Hop if he wasn't coming off a knee and if he is even playing. So, like, in my opinion, I would be a little bit more weary. Like, oh, yeah, Calvin Ridley's going to be at all the targets if D-Hop doesn't play. Well, he's also going to get top coverage. That scares me a little bit more. And he's going to get double covered. Like, make him throw to other people.
So, yeah, and on the Bears side of this, I'm starting DJ Moore. I'm a borderline start for Caleb Williams, but I'm going to end up starting him if he is my only quarterback. I think he gives you some upside. I think the weapons around him, that's the whole reason we liked him. Still got to see it in live game action for a full game. And what I kind of don't like about him is, even in the preseason, there weren't a lot of drives he finished. He would drive the field, but he couldn't finish the drives. So I got to see it from him. DJ Moore is my guy that I'm going to start here. I think Keenan Allen's a good option to start here. Rome, we need to. We need an injury to happen. We need what the shares are going to look like.
I don't necessarily think an injury, but you got to see how, like, what the snap counts are, how many three wide sets they're running that often, and the same thing goes too for DeAndre Swift to me. It's like, what does his snap share look like?
This is actually one of my favorite plays of the week, and this is like my kind of, if I'm doing DFS, I'm going to target him. He's going to be low owned, and he's going to cost very little money as DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift. I think he's got the opportunity to be the main back here, like he was in Philly.
Well, the Titans lose their defensive coordinator, who they had there, they had one of the best rush defenses last year, because of the scheme from this defense. I do think that the Titans are going to be able to get run on a little bit more, and I think that Swift, and they're going to try to slow the game down for Caleb Williams in his first start of his career,
as they should.
So I think Swift is going to get a lot of workload here. So he is my kind of sleeper pick of the week, or not sleeper pick of the week, but kind of my off popular pick from this week. I'm being like RB1.
So here's the only thing that makes me nervous about DeAndre Swift long term.
I'm not talking about long term. I'm talking about game to game.
Even this game, though, but is just the fact that they still have Khalil Herbert there. They brought in Roschon Johnson in the draft, who caught how many 50 balls last year?
You know whose name I haven't heard once this offseason about anything is Roschon Johnson.
Yeah, he started the first game in the Hall of Fame game, and then they sat him in the rest of the preseason game. What does that tell you?
That he's going to get worked?
That he's going to get work at some point. Like, why would Khalil Herbert's the only one that played the majority of the preseason, the whole time. So I just get concerned over, especially the previous health of DeAndre Swift. We saw the Eagles use other backs at times with DeAndre Swift there. DeAndre's never been the guy at any point in his career yet, even in Georgia. So that's my concern, is how high people were drafting him to be their RB2 is the only concern I have. But I agree with you. I think this is an opportunity for him to do what he did week 2 in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're done talking season-long projections at this point. Like, we're going week by week.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if other people got spelled in at times during this game.
For sure.
More
but
often than you would think.
Swift is the home run guy for sure. And of the 3 guys in this backfield, 4 guys in this backfield, but he's the home run guy, and he's going to get the bulk of the workload. So that's why I like him. All right, let's move on to the Patriots and the Bengals.
Cincinnati 8.5 favorites at a 40.5 low-scoring affair. We forget quickly. Patriots are a bad offense and a bad team, but the defense is good. That
Defense is
doesn't
good.
that doesn't necessarily pan out the way you want it to when your offense can stay on the field. So we'll see what happens there with Jacoby Brissett and his bum shoulder at this point.
You want my bold prediction this week? Patriots over Bengals. Upset week 1
With Jamar Chase on the field?
with Jamar Chase on the field.
Interesting.
If Jamar Chase is not on the field, Christian Gonzalez is a great corner,
Yeah,
but
he's a
this
great
defense is good.
Yeah,
and
it is
even though
good.
they lost Judon, this defense is really good.
I won't dispel this defense.
And I think with Jacoby Brissett starting the season, I think Brissett is going to manage this offense into a win.
See, to me, I think Cincinnati's got a good defense too as well. I think at the end of the day, if this offense can't sustain drives, Patriots offense that is, can't sustain drives, the Bengals offense is just going to eat up this defense at one point.
Now I'm starting Polk in this game. I'm starting Ramondre in this game.
Yeah, I would start the two of them.
Hunter Henry is kind of a borderline start for me. I'm probably not going to end up starting him. I think there's a lot of other options.
You should have another option.
You should have another option there, but I think he can be startable. I think he's going to get some looks in this game. We always see Hunter Henry, especially early in the season, with a veteran quarterback. They're going to utilize him. He's a great pass catcher. He does get open. He just doesn't have the breakaway ability.
Yeah.
But he's a possession receiver there that's going to be open for Jacoby Brissett. He might get some usage. He might have a really good game. On the Bengals side, you're starting Chase. You're starting Higgins. You're starting Burrow. You got to start these guys even in a bad matchup, right? Like you drafted them to be these guys for you. Are you starting Zach Moss in this game?
No.
So you're not starting Chase Brown either?
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you.
If I'm doing DFS or if I'm doing a player prop bet, I'm putting my money in the Brown basket. Like I would go in
Chase
for Chase Brown for him to hit his overs and for him a chance to break a if
you're doing like the
reception.
same game parlay or anything like
Anything
that.
But that's the only time I'm putting anything invested into those guys.
DFS wise, I think Zach Moss is a good guy, a good pick that a lot of people are going to be off. I think they're going to see some cheaper value over in Zamir White or Joe Mixon. They might get some good values there, and people might load up on those running backs. They might see we're losing two big games from this. So we're losing Henry, Jacobs, Pacheco, and Saquon in the weekend matchups. So I think that getting Zach Moss for a weekend DFS play is actually a pretty sneaky one. I think he's going to get a lot of work in this game. I think this game is going to be a slower pace. I would take the under on it, but I would take
I wouldn't because
Patriots.
It's already 40.5.
I'm still would take the under on this
because I could see one of these teams hitting 2 touchdowns and some change. But Texans Colts, I think we go off with a bang first game of the season. I
love this game.
Yeah, this game is going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, you got C.J. Stroud coming in, one of the favorites for MVP that people are pushing for already preseason. Houston has a 3-point favorite here at a 48.5. Anthony Richardson buyers in this offseason already are going to be excited to see what they do against this Texans defense. Honestly, at the end of the day, you're starting your big guys. The only one that I'd still have confidence starting, but again, what it's going to look like for this team is Stephon Diggs, because the draft capital you put into him. Like you're not going to have somebody else out there that's going to have that power.
I think Tank Dell's a start. Nico's a start for sure. Mixon's a start for me. CJ Stroud's a start for me. I'm probably in line with you. I'm probably going to sit Stephon Diggs this week.
Well, I'm starting Stephon Diggs.
Then I'm going to sit Stephon Diggs. I think that even though you drafted him there, we don't know, and you drafted him where he went because of his talent.
Correct.
But we don't know how he's going to fit into this offense. And this offense has a lot of weapons already.
Yeah, and we don't know yet which 2 receivers are on 2 receiver sets. We don't know which two, we know when 3 receiver sets are out there, what 3 they are. That's not a question.
Yeah.
But are we going to see Tank Dell and Nico? Are we going to see Stephon and Nico? Like, what's it going to be? Are there going to be times where it's Stephon and Tank Dell? It could be. Like, there's a lot that can happen. That I like to take the shot, especially in a game that has 48.5 as the over-under, on Stephon Diggs getting opportunities, especially out of the slot role. He's going to be open. And I think they bring him there and pay him for a reason too. So like this may be the way to be like go in with a bang game 1. But on the Colts side, you're starting Anthony Richardson, you're starting Jonathan Taylor, you're starting Michael Pittman Jr. Outside of that, what's Josh Downs going to look like, when he gets back? Like, what's it going to look like for
A.D. Mitchell?
A.D. Mitchell, like, he's got all the talent in the world. Is Alec Pierce going to get more snaps game one because of his veteran opportunities?
I agree. I think Pittman's the only pass catcher that I want to start in this game.
No tight end on this team I really like.
No. So I want to see what the snap share is going to be like for A.D. Mitchell and Alec Pierce and Josh Downs. All of them are good enough players to be a number 2 on this team. They have good depth there at receiver. I just think in game 1, before we see it, this game could be a shootout. So I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Downs had a big game in this, getting a big play downfield. Obviously the over is 48.5. So
here's my opinion. I'm taking the under only because I think the Colts get shut down heavily. I think Anthony Richardson struggles against this really good Texans defense.
I don't. I think this is gonna be a shootout. This game.
I mean, it could go either way there. I don't think there's any in between. I think Anthony Richardson looks as advertised, or Anthony Richardson is outmatched.
Yeah. So moving on to the Battle of Florida, or Battle of 2 Florida teams, Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins are favored by 3.5. The point spread on this is again 48.5. This is going to be a high-scoring game. We like these offenses. We like these receivers on this team. Obviously, let's start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, you starting or sitting him?
I'm starting him in a game against the Dolphins. Dolphins have a good defense, but as fast-paced as the Dolphins are, they put the hands in the other offense's hands, the ball in the other offense's hands more often. Besides, like, that Denver outlier last year where they scored 70 points and Denver couldn't keep up. Denver couldn't keep up with anybody regardless. There were times where the Dolphins were in shootouts, and more often than they wanted to be, and simply because they score quick and then they give up big plays.
Yeah, so I'm starting Brian Thomas in this game. I'm starting Trevor Lawrence in this game. I think he's going to have a top 12 finish.
I'm starting Ingram and Kirk.
I'm starting ETN. So I'm starting those guys. Of those receivers, Kirk is probably, or of the pass catchers there, Kirk is probably the guy I like the least. I'm going to start Ingram, and I'm going to start Brian Thomas. Kirk I still like for a volume play. We're talking standard here. I think touchdown is going to go to him. I think he's going to get a nice showcase this game. He's a physical outside receiver.
Talking about Brian Thomas.
I'm talking about Brian Thomas.
You started with Kirk, but just so clarify.
No, I'm saying, if I had to sit one of those two, I'm sitting Kirk.
Yeah.
In a standard format. In PPR, I'm still starting both of those guys. I still think they're going to get volume. With the Miami Dolphins, you're starting Achane, you're starting Mozart, you're starting Tyreek Hill.
You're starting Waddle.
Are you starting Waddle? And are you starting Tua?
Yeah, why not?
So you're starting all the Miami Dolphins.
If you like those guys, if you're starting 2 premier receivers, you got to like the quarterback throwing the ball.
Sure.
So because if you're looking for 100 yards and a touchdown from each of those guys, then you're talking at least 202 from Tua.
I'm okay with it.
So moving on, Panthers Saints. So
an exciting game to a non-exciting game.
Yeah, Panthers Saints. Honestly, Saints have a pretty good defense here. Panthers are coming back with some new offensive weapons here. They still don't have their newly drafted running back, Jonathan Brooks, so Chuba Hubbard's the guy at the helm here. It's another low-scoring affair at 41.5, with New Orleans having a 4-point favorite because of how bad the Panthers' offense was last year. Saints themselves are not that great, and the Panthers actually had a pretty stingy defense at times last year too as well. So, in my opinion, this is going to be a low-scoring game. Derek Carr, I feel like, is going to struggle at times. We have to see, is Kamara going to be the Kamara of old, or is Kamara going to be old too? I mean, are we going to see a lot of Taysom Hill at times here? To me,
Can you just stop with that slander?
I'm just saying here, at the end of the day...
You're saying you're going to start Mixon and you're not going to start Kamara?
No,
you're not worried about Mixon's
I'm going to
age?
start Kamara. I'm not saying... Did Kamara. I say I'm not starting him? I'm not starting Derek Carr. I'm starting Kamara and Olave on the Saints, and that's it.
Okay.
And if you want to throw a flyer on Taysom Hill because he's going to have opportunities with a backup running back injured, I'm okay with it.
Sure.
At the tight end, if you punt at tight end. At the Panthers side, you're not starting Bryce Young. I'm starting Deontay Johnson, and I'm probably starting Chuba Hubbard.
I'm starting Chuba Hubbard. I think he has a chance for a top 24 finish this week. I'm not starting Deontay Johnson unless it's PPR. If it's a PPR format, I'm going to start Deontay Johnson. I just don't think this offense is good enough to really be scoring a lot of points. Do we think it's going to go to Deontay Johnson? I don't know if he.
It could still be Adam Thielen.
It could,
but I like
I think
Johnson.
Deontay is going to have opportunity. I think he might have 7 or 8 catches in this game, which in a PPR format you'd love to see. I just don't know if the standard output is going to be. Are we going to get 70 yards from him? Is he going to have a mediocre performance? Is he a top 24 wide receiver this week? And for me, the answer is no.
He probably isn't.
So he's borderline flex, if that, for me.
Vikings-Giants next game, another 41.5 total with Minnesota 2-point favorites here. Very interesting. The rare 2-point favorite.
They really don't know.
Really the only one that on the Giants side.
The Giants don't even get a home field advantage. That's how bad that Vegas thinks the Giants are.
I know. There's only one guy here that is going to get volume in its neighbors. And in my opinion, you drafted him to play him, so you're playing him, but you can't feel comfortable doing it. And I'm doing that this week, and I don't feel comfortable against you doing it.
Yeah.
But who's going to get the volume there? It's going to be him. Who's going to get the opportunity?
Wandell?
It's going to be him. Wandell kid, get the short little ones here and there.
Bellinger?
Yeah. But again, Wandale's done a lot of stuff in the past where he catches the ball and falls down 3 yards later.
I'm going to say this. Don't sleep on Tyrone Tracy.
No, he's a sneaky pickup too, I think, in my opinion too, because I think Singletary got away with what he was doing last year in Texans because of Dameon Pierce being so bad.
We've seen a lot of these these receiving running backs that come in that are used on a couple. They get 10 touches a game, but they make everything of it. And I think Tyrone Tracy has that ability this year.
Well,
Devin Singletary might be a guy that you want to play for volume, and he's probably going to sneak in for a touchdown. But I see Tyrone Tracy getting a lot of more receiving work out of the backfield. He's going to have more explosive ability to him.
He's a big boy, too. I mean, he's got size to him.
So,
in comparison.
I like Tracy as like a deep sleeper. I'm not starting him by any means, but he is a sleeper for me this week. I'm starting Malik Neighbors. He's a start for me. Again, this is based on a pure volume play. Every other Giant I'm sitting. I don't know what this offense is going to be like. Daniel Jones
really up to him.
Could have a bounce back season, or he could just throw the ball 5 yards in front of him into the dirt and then sit there looking like sad Tom Brady.
I will say just I want to make a point on this Singletary and Tracy point too. Daboll is going to be the play caller. Let's not forget what he did in Buffalo when he had Singletary and Zach Moss, and how many times those guys were on and off the field and in games together. So I don't think Singletary's a volume play like Singletary was back for Buffalo, but don't forget Moss's role in Buffalo back then too.
Right.
And I think that's where you're going to see Tracy get opportunities in this offense. So I agree with you there. For the Vikings side, you're starting Jettas. You have to.
I'm starting Justin Jefferson. I'm starting Aaron Jones. And that's all I'm starting.
Yeah.
From the Vikings. I think that this is if you're streaming defenses, the Giants are a good defense to stream in this week. I think the Giants have a sneaky defense. I don't think that they're going to shut down Minnesota completely. But Minnesota's defense is not that good. I think
they had 18 interceptions last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Giants. So
and they got better this year. So I think the Giants are a sneaky defense to play this week. Next game we got Chargers and Raiders.
40.5 point game here.
Yep.
With the Chargers being 3-point favorite, which surprised me a little bit.
The game's even. Vegas is right, and this is even. This is
not a home game for the Chargers. Wait till you see how many Raiders fans are in LA.
Of course. But you're going to see a lot of bland offense from the Chargers. This is a kind of, we don't really know what to expect. I'm starting Gus Edwards based on pure volume play at this point. But we don't know.
It could be J.K. Dobbins.
I know. We really
better
don't
running
know.
back.
Herbert, I'm going to sit and wait and see. If I feel comfortable with any pass catcher, it's probably going to be Josh Palmer.
Yep.
Ladd McConkey, I still want to see how they're going to utilize him. Is he going to be a pure slot receiver? Are they going to put him in motion a lot? Are they going to run a lot of three wide receiver sets? I want to see what this offense is going to be like. This is a new revamped offense. We haven't seen Harbaugh in the NFL in quite a long time. The last time he was there, that offense has worked really, really well. Does he have the same pieces now that he had then? No. But Herbert is a good enough quarterback. I'm still not starting him. I think later in the season he could be a really sneaky play. But I think this year is just there's too many question marks around this entire team. Yeah,
to me, the J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Kamani Vidal question mark is the biggest backfield question mark I think that's out there. Gus did it in Baltimore
Other
last
than Dallas.
Kind of. I think that's going to be more straightforward than we think. But I think, to me, when you look at Gus Edwards' play last year, the touchdowns he got, fantastic. He was on the Ravens offense. Let's not forget who the starter was supposed to be. It wasn't Gus Edwards. It was J.K. Dobbins.
Right.
And it was every single year before he's been hurt. And from what I've seen and what I've heard is he looks good. Now, I mean, he's coming off some big injuries.
Yeah,
but if you
ACL
look
and
good,
Achilles, I don't disagree with you. I think that he hasn't played football in 3 years.
yeah.
And so what are we really going to get out of J.K. Dobbins? Or is it going to be Gus kind of running the show there for the short term before Dobbins comes in and plays?
I don't want to do a play on words, but Dobbins doesn't have the wear, but he's got the tear.
Sure.
Because literally that's all he's done is tear things.
Yeah.
He hasn't been beat up in the NFL like these other running backs have.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to take a shot on either one of those guys in the draft. Didn't happen for us, but somebody's going to get it. And Harbaugh's a great coach. The only way the Chargers win this game and they're favorite is because they outcoach the Raiders. That's in my opinion.
I think the Raiders are going to win this game.
I do too.
I think the Raiders are a sneaky team this year. Their offense is good enough. I think Minshew is a good quarterback. You're starting Devontae Adams. I'm not starting Minshew this week, but he is borderline. He's fringe for me. I have him around like a QB 14 finish for the week. I'm going to start Zamir White in this game. I'm probably holding off on Brock Bowers. I know a lot of people picked him up as the only tight end, and if you did, go ahead and start him with confidence. I think you should. I think he's going to get work and going to get play. If I had two tight ends and Brock Bowers was the second tight end that I drafted, I'm probably going to start the other tight end this week.
Well, I would definitely start the other tight end if you took a tight end before Brock Bowers.
Yes.
But if you took Brock Bowers first, it really depends on who you drafted.
Yeah, I think that there are other matchups that I like for tight ends this week, and I want to see how they're going to use him. Again, my biggest concern when he got drafted to this team is Michael Mayer is there. Devontae Adams, who gets targeted 175 times a year, is there.
Yeah.
We're still not even
Jacoby
talking
Myers,
about Jacoby Myers on the outside,
who could be a sneaky play this week.
So I like the Raiders. My only two go-ahead sure starts are going to be Devontae Adams and Zamir White for this game.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Broncos Seahawks, another 41.5 point game. A lot of lows, and that's because Vegas just doesn't know yet. We talked about this. They just don't know yet. But Broncos Seahawks team here. I think the Seahawks defense is pretty good.
I do too.
And I also think the Broncos offense is going to be better than they were last year. I think they're going to be able to move the ball better than they did with Russ. But what does that really mean? Does that mean they score, 14 points, 18 points, 17 points? I don't know. I'm obviously not starting Bo Nix. I like Cortland Sutton here and Javonte Williams. Outside of that, I'm not touching anybody else on this Broncos offense.
Yeah,
until you really see.
From a PPR standpoint, there's going to be guys on this team that you're really going to like playing.
At some point, for sure.
Like Jaleel McLaughlin, I think from a PPR standpoint, is a really good play this week. I think Bo Nix is going to be getting the ball out of his hands quick in this game. And so you're going to have a lot of high-volume catches from players. I think that you could get a boost in a lot of players this week from DFS because they might have 5 or 6 grabs, and if all you need one guy is to break it off. Cortland Sutton, for standard purposes, Cortland Sutton's the only person I'm starting receiver-wise for the Broncos. I am going to start Javonte Williams in this game. From the Seahawks, though, I'm really excited about this team. I think they're going to bounce back this year. This is my sleeper for the week altogether. Is going to be Noah Fant. Noah Fant's my sleeper for this week. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity. This team likes to throw the ball to the tight end. And there are no tight ends on this team to compete with Noah Fant anymore.
Yeah, like it was in the past where you had 3 guys catching touchdowns.
Right, and so Noah Fant's going to get a lot more volume. You're starting DK, you're starting Kenneth Walker. Go ahead and start JSN in this game too. I'm sitting Tyler Lockett. I think we saw a drop-off from last year, and I think we're going to see another drop-off this year with the emergence of JSN. He's younger, he's quicker, he's faster. I think he does a lot more with the ball in his hands than Tyler Lockett gives you the opportunity to do anymore. Yep. Tyler Lockett's still going to be effective down the stretch. He might have a game or two this year, but I think we've seen the last of the 1,000-yard, 8 touchdown seasons that we're used to seeing from him.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. Age gets you in the NFL. Cowboys Browns, next one we're going to talk about. 2 solid defenses here. They have a 41.5 point game here because of that. And don't forget, the Cowboys were one of the highest scoring offenses in the league last year, and the Browns weren't terrible themselves. Cleveland has a 2.5 point favorite. I don't disagree with that. I think the offense for Cleveland is a little bit better than the offense for the Cowboys. On the Cowboys side, you're starting CD. You're starting. Would you start Dak in this game?
I will not start Dak in this game.
I'm not starting either of the running backs in this game, Zeke or Rico.
Or Dalvin.
I would start Fergie at tight end only because of opportunity.
I'm starting Ferguson in this game, and he's a borderline fringe sit for me.
Sit for me too. I have to start him in our league, but yeah, I'm the same.
But I think he can have opportunity. I think that the Browns. The Browns linebackers cover very well. Their safeties cover tight ends very well. I don't think we're going to have a really big blow-up game. I think a lot of the offense is going to go to CD. I still have a lot of questions about the offensive line here. I think that the Browns defense is an elite defense, just like the Cowboys are. And so these defenses are going to get at each other. Obviously, Vegas thinks the same way. We have a 41.5-point game total for this game. So I think that there's a lot of question marks around the offensive line and how they can protect Dak. And then what is Deshaun Watson going to do on the other side? So moving over to the Browns, who are you starting with confidence there? Are you starting Amari Cooper with confidence?
Yeah, because
you're starting Njoku with confidence.
I'm starting Amari Cooper with confidence. It's the only one I'm starting with confidence.
Okay. You're starting Jerome Ford in this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason because it's just going to be who else is there, and he catches a lot of passes, and he does well with them out the backfield. To me, the biggest thing, if you watched any football for Cleveland last year, Deshaun Watson had no fear chucking the ball up to Amari Cooper anytime, anywhere, from any sort of angle, any body angle he was doing. He was just slinging the ball to Amari Cooper.
Are you really thinking of Joe Flacco?
No, for the times that Amari Cooper was on the field.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, technically it's a revenge game for Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, technically.
I just think he's a very good receiver. He's going to get open at times, and he's going to get looked at for sure.
I have Njoku as a starter in this game, and I think that Jerry Jeudy can be a sleeper in this game as well. I think we might see a resurgence of Jerry Jeudy. I don't know. This is kind of like within the first 3 weeks here is my limit for Jerry Jeudy. If he's not producing with this on this team, I'm sorry, I'm done with you forever.
Yeah.
But I'm starting both these defenses as well.
Yeah. On the next game, Commanders-Buccaneers, we've got
for this game.
A 43.5-point total here, and with a 3.5-point favorites in the Buccaneers, and that's purely because it's a rookie quarterback against a decent defense. So it's yet to see. I think at the end of the day, if this game was mid-season, Commanders would be the more favorite team here. I'm actually taking a chance on why am I blanking on
Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels.
Wow.
It's been a long weekend. But I'm taking a chance on Jaden Daniels. I think the opportunity for him, at the least with his legs, is going to give you a benefit. If we were taking a chance with Anthony Richardson last year, at times, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't take a chance with Jaden Daniels in a game like this.
Yeah, I think Jaden is a start for me this week, and I think that Terry McLaurin is going to be a start for me this week. Brian Thomas or Brian Robinson is going to be a start. Eckler is going to be a sleeper. Everyone else, I'm going to kind of sit and wait. They're De'Ami Brown and Noah Brown. I think that they are two guys that I'm really intrigued by. And again, this goes down to a lot of these teams. I want to see who the number 2 is really going to be. What's the usage like on the field? What kind of
who's going to emerge?
What kind of routes are they running? Like, is Luke McCaffrey going to be involved in any kind of way? Is he going to be in the slot? Are they going to use De'Ami Brown there and Noah Brown outside? With the acquisition of Noah Brown, the departure of Jahan Dotson, it threw a loop into like who's going to be the number 2 there. We thought Jahan Dotson was going to be, and we liked him. Me and you both liked him in that opportunity this year. So if we like him in that opportunity, do we like anyone else in that opportunity?
Obviously, Washington had faith in De'Ami Brown because even if they didn't get the waiver on Noah Brown, they were running with De'Ami Brown.
Yeah.
That's why I lean his way, and I like him there. He's proved it. So
maybe they were trying for Ayuk, getting the ASU connection.
They probably were. But the one thing I will say is I actually have a lot less confidence in the running game here. Tampa Bay has traditionally in the past 4 years has had a fantastic rush defense. And you better believe they're going to try and make the young buck try and throw the ball. Now, the thing they got to watch for is what he does with his legs. That's the only reason why I see they can spell some decent runs here and there. And then Eckler at the backfield at certain opportunities, he can still catch the ball at an elite level. I don't care what people think.
I'm taking the over. I saw it. I think his over for receiving yards is 19.5.
Yeah,
Go ahead and smash that over.
I already hit that prop.
Yeah.
Bet. Like for the Buccaneers side here, Commanders have had struggling defenses, especially when they sold their two biggest pass rushers. So I'm not starting Baker Mayfield, but he's a sneaky start.
He is a sneaky start.
He's a sneaky start. But I'm playing Mike Evans. I'm playing Godwin. I like Otten as a sneaky tight end.
I don't
opportunity, but McMillan as a rookie is somebody I want to see what they do with here.
Yeah, I'd like to see how they use McMillan. I think he is a key piece of this offense that is going to really shoot them to the next level. I think they have 3 legitimate receivers.
Yep.
Mike Evans is still going to be the king. You're starting him. You're starting Rachaad White. Tell me what you're doing with Bucky Irvin.
I'm waiting and seeing.
You're waiting and seeing.
He's a rookie running back. He wasn't a day one running back.
Yeah.
Anybody else who's not a day one running back, I'm waiting and seeing.
I think of all the rookies, I mean, obviously Jonathan Brooks is getting a lot of hype because of what he's going to be on that team. And he's the only one that went into a situation where there isn't an established veteran. All these other rookie guys went to a team that has an established veteran. I think that Bucky Irving has gotten a lot of hype coming into the season, definitely coming into draft as being a guy that's going to compete to take touches away from the starter there, which is Rachaad White, another younger guy who's coming in. So
who was successful in terms of fantasy and volume.
Very inefficient.
Very inefficient. And I don't know if it's going to get any better this season. Like they didn't make any massive overhauls in the offensive line to really prove anything different. Let's not forget, Leonard Fournette was fantastic on their Super Bowl run. And then the year after, this team couldn't have a running back with over 4 yards per carry average because the offensive line couldn't just do it anymore.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the proper people at the helm, So I think you're still going to see Rachaad White fail to really be that explosive person. But I also don't think Bucky Irving is automatically going to be that guy. I like him. I like the chance. I want to wait and see. And if he starts in the first couple of weeks showing to be the better guy, we've seen Fournette take the back seat to Rachaad White years ago. Wouldn't be surprised if we start to see things change here in Tampa Bay. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
L.A., Detroit.
Hey, highest point total of the week. 50.5 points.
Rightfully
guys.
So, though.
It should be. This is going to be a really exciting game. Detroit's favored by 4 points in this game. They are at home. This is, if you have a player on this team, start him.
Yep. Simple.
There are some guys I'm not going to start, but you're starting Puka, you're starting Cooper Kupp, you're starting Kyren, you're starting Stafford. I like Stafford in this game. He went undrafted in a lot of leagues, and it's baffled me in our league when you saw. I mean, we have a different setup because a lot of rookies go earlier, but like people taking chances on Drake May and Bo Nix, and I've seen this in dynasty leagues too, or redraft leagues that are a little bit deeper. It's like you see Stafford and Rodgers and Kirk Cousins fall off, and it's like, yeah, I know you want the young guy and the shiny new toy, but look at the toys that Matt Stafford has to play with. I mean, he has Kyren, a pass catching back that's really, really good. He has Puka and Cooper Kupp on the outside. They got weapons there.
Yeah.
I absolutely love those guys. I'm starting I'm sitting Parkinson. I don't want to start a tight end in this game. I really don't favor a tight end in this year on this team until Higbee comes back. On the other side for the Lions, you're starting Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're starting Sam Laporta. You're starting Jahmyr Gibbs. Are you starting David Montgomery?
Yes.
Are you starting Jared Goff?
Yes.
Okay. So you're starting all the lines. Are you starting Jameson Williams?
I guess I'll say that. You're starting Jared Goff if he's the guy that you weighted deep in your league to draft and punt to the quarterback position. Because odds are you probably have him as, like I do, your QB2. Because he's going late in drafts in ADP. But if he's your starting guy, you start him with confidence.
Well, there's a lot of teams that drafted Jaden. You starting Goff over Jaden?
Oh, I would this week.
Right.
Because it's Lions at home. I mean,
yeah. I think the Lions are they're gonna come out hungry again this year. They were on the brink last year. They did something really special for this franchise last year. Now I think that they're another team. They're one of my favorites to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to establish that from week 1 against a really good opponent in the Rams, and they're going to win this game in a game that's going to shoot out.
Yep.
And now, what you've all been waiting for.
Well, some of you from the East
Monday Night Football
Coast, from the tri-state area.
Hopefully, It's not another torn Achilles.
Hopefully he gets more than 5 snaps.
I want to see him take 5 snaps. Jets at 49ers. Niners are favored by 4.5. This is a 43.5 point over/under game total.
Yeah, I mean, you got two.
Who do you like in this game?
49ers. You got 2 good defenses, but here's the thing. I say that it's been a long time since Aaron Rodgers played true game of football. I never take him for granted on the field because a winner's a winner's a winner.
He's going home.
It was the same way that Tom Brady was. Like, you can't. It's hard to bet against a guy that finds ways to win the game. I mean, you could argue Eli Manning was the same way with his game-winning drives. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Niners are winning in the fourth quarter and Aaron Rodgers drives down the field and wins the game.
So I think I have the Jets in this game, obviously. I'm a Jets fan. But non-biasly, it's a homecoming game for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to Northern California. I love this for him. I love the weapons around him. I'm starting Garrett Wilson. I'm starting Breece Hall. I'm starting Rodgers if you have the opportunity to. I'm probably going to start Mike Williams too.
If he's playing.
If he
and not on a snap count.
They're saying he's going to play without a snap count.
But if he is, then yes, I would.
If he is, I'm playing him without a snap count. Garrett Wilson's going to go ham in this game. There's first he didn't even catch a pass last year from Rodgers.
I know.
He's just going to light it up. On the other side, I think this is going to be a really good game. I think that both these defenses are probably the best 2 defenses in the league, and they're facing each other week 1 against good offenses. It concerns me that McCaffrey's been out of practice a lot. Trent Williams just signed his contract today. Ayuk's been out of practice.
I get it.
They're coming off of a Super Bowl loss in which they lost in overtime. Like, it kind of seems like there's been a tumultuous offseason for the San Francisco 49ers.
We say that because it's what we see. I don't know what the conversations were like in the back end. They probably were.
You're right, but there's a lot of contract talks that they've had. They've gotten rid of like big pieces on the defense over the last couple of years with Solomon Thomas and Javon Kinlaw. Funga's back.
I like that.
Yeah. They have a lot of guys that are still on this team and still really, really talented on this defense. It just seems like
I think this is a Kittle game.
This could be a killer game.
And listen, I think the linebackers for the Jets are fantastic. They're fast. They're great tacklers.
They've always struggled against tight ends.
So, yeah, because they're great running. There's a great rush linebacking core, and they tackle very well.
And they shut down corners on the outside. They shut down receivers on the outside. I think Debo has a chance to be big in this game.
But I think it could be one of these Kittle games where he goes for like 2 tutties.
Yeah,
he could. Surprised, especially with Ayuk being out as it was.
And you're starting McCaffrey. You're starting Kittle. You're starting Ayuk. You're starting Debo. You're starting Purdy. But I'm not happy about starting Purdy in this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you drafted Purdy as your starter, and he's your only guy, you got to start him.
I'm probably going to sit Ayuk in this game. Like, that's my bold sit for the week. Is probably going to be Ayuk.
Yeah, you may. I think you could be disappointed with his output at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think if anyone's
going
to
forget who he's going up against.
Yeah, and if anyone's going to have a blow up game in this game, it's going to be Kittle or Debo.
Yeah,
and then McCaffrey's going to get his because it's McCaffrey.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's it here. Under an hour. We went through it all.
Week 1's done.
I will say, moving forward, we're going to move pretty quickly through these start and sits for these games here, a little bit faster than we did here. We got a little excited, want to talk about these games. Again, this wasn't really true start or sit advice. It was more or less guys we like and things our favorite.
We're just excited about the week, guys.
It's football, guys.
It's football here. We got football this week.
Yep. So
5 days of straight football.
If you didn't hear us earlier, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button. Tune in next week when we will break down our waiver pickups coming in.
So waivers.
We will be posting those on Tuesday mornings every single week. Your waiver pickups, so you have opportunity to get those done. On top of that, we will be doing our weekend previews that will be dropping on Thursday mornings. It'll give you plenty of time to set those lineups, watch the news, take our advice,
guys.
Find your way to a championship.
We're 7 subscribers away. Please help us out. We're 7 away. At 500, we're giving away merch. We're giving away merch to a random subscriber. We're going to shuffle it through. We're going to hit a random subscriber. We're going to send you some swag. We'll DM you and get your info so we can send you a shirt, hat, coffee mug, whatever.
Show some love to the channel. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.